Technical Regulations 2012 LI 2182. So I presume just by the title of it that it's all about safety at the mines.
Yes.
And this is to protect lives of persons who work there.
Yes.
And also ensure that the equipment perform the way they should be.
So this is basically to ensure health, safety, and then secured mining environment.
Okay, and that's important because...
Yes, because we want everybody to return home with 10 fingers, 9, all the tools should be.
What's the situation on safety at Ghana's mines?
For now, the situation has improved a lot because of this particular law.
Okay. Was it bad before?
Yeah, you see, before 2012, the mining regulation being used were the 1971. That was 1971. And then those regulations were having challenges, handicap, and then the regulations were mainly for underground. So mainly for underground operations. So there were no provisions for surface mining operations, like the processing operations, tailing treatment facilities were not there. Even the minimum safety standards were not in that particular regulation. So the regulators were having challenge in using it to regulate the mining industry. So it became a need to develop this particular regulation based on the Minerals and Mining Act 2006 at 703. So this regulation came into being.
Okay, you've mentioned underground mining and surface mining. For the sake of those of us who may not understand the distinction, can you explain those differences for us?
For underground mines, you will not see sky. But for the surface mines, you will see sky.
Okay.
So that is the simple...
The safety situations for both would be very different. So, for example, what would you need to put in place for safety underground?
See, you have a lot to do at underground because the underground is a confined. We do excavation underground, a confined area. So always, and then where you are going, you need to support the roof. Normally in the mining terms, we call it back. You need to support the back. So as you move along, you excavate, you support the walls, and then you support the back so that people can just move in freely. Based on the technology, the excavation has been widened. Formerly, we used to have 1 meter by 1 meter, like the dimension. But now we have the length, the width is around about 5 meters, 5.5, and then the height is about 6 meters.
So there's a lot more room for people and equipment.
Because of the machines we use. So if you have those dimensions, it makes it very easier for these machines to just move around, the modern machines to be used around. Those days, it's only the excavation is about 1 by 1 meter excavation, and then people we just only work. We were using this outmoded machines like the scrapers and then so on and so forth. So, but for now, if you enter underground mine, you will see how the mine is.
Okay. And when it comes to surface mining, what are the peculiar safety issues that presents when we are mining
for the
with
surface,
the sky above?
The surface, we look at because you see we mine it in the form of trellises, and then the walls
in the form of
terrace, like bench height.
Okay.
And then the walls, we always need to be conscious about the wall, because if you make the wall straight, it can just come on you. So always we have a slopes in the verticals, and then also we have a bench. People will stand on and then just work. So that make it more safe. And then this is spelled in this particular regulation. That is the Minerals and Mining Health and Safety and Technical Regulation. That is the LI 2182 regulation. Right. So all those things are just spelled in those regulations.
Let's talk about the law, for example. What are the unique opportunities or unique requirements that the law mandates mining companies to put in place to ensure safety?
So the law even for the manager of the mine, you need to go through the certifications. So all the managers of the mine, if you want to become a general manager of a particular mine, you need to go through certifications. Like you go to about 5 certifications. The blast, you go to the mining foreman, the mine captain, the mine subtenant, and then before you get to the mine manager, take it. So that one is one side. We also have other, like the safe operating procedures, which we need to just develop to just aid the mining. We also do risk assessment and then so on and so forth. So we have a lot in this particular. This particular regulation is based on duty of care, risk management principles, and then the workforce representation. And then this is for the responsibility for provision of health, safety, and then secure mining environment for both the mining company and then the host communities. Okay, so duty of care, tell us about that. Duty of care simply means that you will not harm me, I will not harm you. Mm-hmm. And then like if you are working under me, I'm the supervisor, you are working under me, and then something happens to you, I will be cautioned. So like you should be my keeper, I should also be your keeper, so that we work safely and then we go home safely. So basically that is the duty of care. So like if you are doing everything, you need to just go by the procedure given to you. And then we have something called plan observation analysis, like a plan work observation. As you are working, we also have other people also looking onto you. At times you have a control room where a person will be there and then also watching what is actually happening. And does the law put some systems in place for regulating some of these dictates? Yes. That it mandates companies and workers? Yes, everything is the law. You see, as I said, the manager, even the operators, you need to be competent. If I say competent, you have to go through the examinations. You have to go through examination by the mining inspectors. The chief inspector of mines has to award you, giving you a certificate that you can operate in the mines. So if you go into the mining industry, all the people there are competent. We normally call it that they've gone through the regulations. Because before you can just work in the mining industry like a supervisor and then so on and so forth, you need to know every aspect of the regulation. So you need to go through the LI 2182, that is the health and safety. Is the basis for workings. So is it something that you issue safety certificates or licenses to companies that comply with the standards provided or talked about in the law? You see, we normally do. We do annual mine safety competitions. Even last Sunday, we were even here to do this. What do you know on this safety? We have statisticians who look at all the activities going to the mine, because every mine is supposed to return. We have a returns. You have to return your production. You have to return your environmental, your accident. So they compile all these accidents. So we know the man who is doing well, the man who is not doing well. We also do mine audit. That one is also annual affair. We do mine audits. And then we combine with even the chamber, the Ghana Chamber of Mines. We combine with them, and then we go through all the mining to just audit their minimum standards based on this LI 2182 to know whether the mines, those things they are supposed to put in place are there for people to work safely. So that is another thing we also just do too. So what are the causes of mine accidents then, and what measures can companies and individuals put in place to bring the numbers even further down? For mine accidents, you see, I will just summarize into two. We have unsafe acts and unsafe conditions. So if I say the unsafe act is the individual and then company, their behavior. So like people, you are not supposed to use the machine, and then you go in to use. You don't have permit to work, then you just move in to just go and use, because every permit has its conditions. So if you are not given a permit, why should you work? If you are not supposed to drive, like in our rules, where you are supposed to drive 50 kilometers per hour, and then you are just doing 100 meters per hour, you are doing unsafe act. That is those things I'm just talking about. If you look at the unsafe conditions, we are talking about the hazards, the various hazards. And then hazard is anything that can cause harm. So we look into these hazards. We have the mining inspectors, how we just look at these things. We have mining inspectors in the regions. Currently, we have 5 regions. We have the Kumasi region, we have the Takoradi region, we have the Tamale region, Kofoludia region, and then Accra region. And then we have the regional managers, and then we have the inspectors working under the regional manager. So they go to the mines because the Minerals and the Mining Act 2006 at 703 has mandated the Inspector Division of the Minerals Commission to conduct mines inspections and also enforce this regulation. The law, the actual law I mentioned, and also the LI2 and A2. So they need to enforce this regulation. So the mine inspectors go to the mines to ensure that these regulations are enforced. Okay. Apart from that, the regulation, if you look at the LI2 and A2, the regulation itself, if you look at the regulation 35, regulation 35 also says that it is the responsibility of the manager of the mine to enforce this particular regulation. If you also look at the regulation 511, the same regulation, regulation 511 of the LI2 and A2 also say that the manager of the mine must ensure that each worker complies with this regulation. So based on this one, if you're a manager and then you couldn't ensure that your workers comply with this regulation, you will be sanctioned. That's
so there's a responsibility when it comes to unsafe acts. There's a responsibility on the individuals, so the workers, and there's a responsibility, a broader responsibility on the company. And the company is supposed to ensure that the workers have everything they need to extract safely. And then you also mentioned unsafe conditions with hazards. What kind of hazards are we talking about? Can you give us some examples?
I can just give you if we say hazards, we have physical hazards. Like you've seen a noise, a dust, and you see the physical hazard. You see some excavation which need to be covered, which need to be protected. You have the chemical hazards like the spills. If I say the spills, like oil spill, something we can even use slippery, making the floor slippery. We have the oil chemicals hazard. We also have the mechanical hazard. We can have a machine without a guide. At least we need to guide all the rotating parts of the machine. So that one is also hazard. We have biological hazard like the sanitation, and then also communicable disease, and then we also have even psychosocial hazard. If I say psychosocial hazard, we are talking about the peer pressure, the stress, like our works we do, even the stress is hazard because it can cause harm.
And all this is captured in the airline.
It all is captured in the regulation. That is why we changed from the 1970 mining regulation to the modern regulation. This is even though we've changed, there's still some challenges. But I think this one is better. If we are able to comply with this particular regulation, I think we will not even hear any accident in the mining industry.
It brings me right. Go on.
But it's very difficult. You cannot say that. You will not just we will not hear any accident. We are trying to minimize and then also reduce drastically. But elimination will be very difficult. But with all our effort based on this one, the mining industry, the managers, the supervisors, all contributing, and then also the regulators also moving in to just ensure that this regulation is complied. I think we can succeed on that.
So it brings me to a question, and you've raised it yourself. Challenges. It does sound from listening to you that you have everything in hand to make sure that the accidents are reduced, if not eliminated entirely. So, what peculiar challenges are you faced with? For
in case of accidents and other things, I think this regulation is doing well. Like for the mining itself, if you look at we are mining clay, but you see the clay mining. So that aspect of it is not mentioned in the regulation. If I say the challenges, that is in terms of mine, because formally clay was something we were even using it in our this Apotoyoa and so forth. But currently, because of the ceramics industry coming in, we need to also look into those things, because you can mine, but how to manage where they are mining, the environmental issues, how you reclaim the area there, because you see normally the clays are mined at the slums and then the waterlogged areas. So how best we can also just reclaim those areas is another thing we also need to look to just improve on this regulation. So that is what I'll just say.
And based on data that's available to you, what would you say is the level of compliance by the companies?
The level of compliance, in fact, is very, very high. I can just recall, if you look at the 2019, the number of accidents as compared to the 2020, the number of accidents we recorded was around 554. But if you look at the 2020, it came down to 285. And then for now, currently, what we have recorded is around 53 or so. So you see the trend of the decline. Yes. So I think we are, but one thing we are also facing is the fatality, the death, because you can just have a few accidents, but the death too is very, very serious. We consider the fatal accident as much serious, which we need to just do well on that particular one. You see, recent we had 3 fatal accidents, and then what we noticed was that 2 of them were based on fall of ground. You see, we normally call it fall of ground, which is very difficult to detect, because especially underground, and then the 2 were underground. Fall of ground. So
fall of ground means somebody fell?
No, the ground will fall on you.
Okay.
Yes, and then because of this, we've written to the mining companies to come out with their ground stability monitoring program. This is purely geotechnical issue. So they need to come out with the ground stability monitoring program, which we've written to them. And then this one is spelled in this particular, in the LI2182. If you look at the 127 of the LI2182 and then also 84 of this particular regulation, it's just spelled that the mines need to just provide us with those stability monitoring programs, so that it will even help the mine, because based on that you will know whether where the people are working is safe or not safe. Because
you mentioned at the beginning of this conversation that yes, even to ensure that structures are put in place to keep the ground yes, from caving
the support and
is a requirement.
Yes.
And so if you're having accidents due to that, it means some people are not complying.
That's why we need to. You see, we always see continuous improvement, because we were not facing this type of accident. So, but now we have just seen that the others are going, but this one coming in, especially the underground mines, we need to strengthen our effort. Even the commission has even sponsored about 2 people for this particular geotechnical issue, so that the commission will have a competent people who will also oversee in terms of the ground condition. We were not experiencing it, but as you mine and then the supporting aspect of the mining is not going on, or the filling aspect of the mine is not going on, at a point.
Who does the supervision to ensure that the companies are playing by the rules?
The inspectors. That's what I said. We make sure that we have the inspector division of the Minerals Commission, which is the division of the Minerals Commission. We have the inspectors. As mentioned about the regions, we have those regional managers, and then the inspectors are working under those regions. So they go to the mines to ensure that the regulation are enforced.
So when they come across somebody who is not doing what they should be doing, what sanctions could they possibly be facing?
It depends on the gravity. Every aspect of the regulation give the sanction. Like I can just give, if for the 15, what I will just remember, like let me just give the regulation 15 of the LI2182. Say you need to, if you fail to obey the lawful order of an inspector, you can be sanctioned by paying a CD equivalent of $10,000 US. Just mere failing to comply with the inspector's instruction, you'll be sanctioned. So every regulation has its own the sanctions, and then the breaches, they are all spelled in the regulation. Okay. The area which was not spelled, if we can have some areas which are not spelled, and then though we have a common one at the regulation 56 of that LI21A2, which will, if the area is not, if that particular regulation is not mentioned the sanction, we use the common one at the 56 to just sanction the
okay. We've focused a lot on safety of the personnel and safety measures to be put in place by the companies. What are the safety implications on mining communities as we begin to maybe bring this conversation to an end? I'm sure we'll pick it up again.
Yes.
But what circumstances do mining communities face, and how can those be addressed?
The mining communities, especially like the blasting. You see, the blasting aspects of this, according to the regulation, the exclusion zone need to be protected. The exclusion zone need to be protected. So that is what we also doing, so that we will not want the vibration aspect to get into, or the fire rot aspect to get into the communities. We also move into the communities because always we are in between the community and the mining companies. We try to just bridge. So we have environmental inspectors, we have the community relations officers. They just move in to the communities as well as the mining companies. So they move into the communities to ask what impact the mining activities is having on this thing. So always they are there to just bridge the gap where the mining if they are not also providing their corporate social responsibilities to the community will just voice out. And then based on that, based on the rapport between the being intermediate by the community relations officer, it will just channel those to the community, it will channel it to the mining company. So that, and
there are appropriate structures in place to make reporting of these things possible.
Yes,
right.
Yes.
Right. I think this all time would allow us
to
yes, we've been at this for almost half an hour. Okay. So I'm sure we'll have the opportunity to engage you again.
No problem.
To talk about this regulation. Yes. Our time with the Minerals Commission today, we've been talking to Mr. John Amoanyi. He is Deputy Chief Inspector of Mines at the Minerals Commission, and we've been talking about the health, safety and technical regulations in the minerals and mining sector regulation. So LI 2182. So it's all about health and safety at the mines, surface mine and underground mining, all captured in that regulation. The Minerals Commission making sure that companies comply and communities are kept safe under all conditions, even during the prospects for minerals.